All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Earth's Mightiest Comics. This is a show where every week we talk about some recent comics that we have been reading, and we tell you what we think of them, and if we like them or if we did not like them. This week there's a good amount of things, a good amount of comics that are out this week, but I don't think most of them have too much that we have thoughts on. I evidently do not know how to speak today, but there are definitely there's some pretty big releases this week we're gonna be talking about, like Avengers Twilight, like Cobra Commander, like Giant Size Hulk #1. But we are gonna start off with a comic that I have a lot of thoughts on, and it sounds like Sebastian might as well. That is Roxxon presents Thor #1. Now, if you are not aware of what this comic is, it's a little bit complicated to explain because it is like a real comic. Like I own this, like I bought it, I read it, but it's not real in the sense that like most of the comics about are, where this is like an in-universe comic written by Roxxon, which is, the big company of Marvel within the Marvel universe. And so it's a comic that is in the Marvel universe that's written by Roxxon in universe that Thor was reading at the end of the last issue of Immortal Thor. So again, it's a little bit complicated, but yeah, that's what this is basically. It is written by Al Ewing. The artist is Greg Land. Now, I don't typically do this, but I think to accurately explain my thoughts on this issue, I am gonna just give my score up front. I gave this a 10. I think it is an expertly crafted satirical take on like a lot of the major issues that are facing a large part of society. It touches on a lot of stuff. There's stuff in here about it's like it ranges from capitalism to AI to like the video games industry to police brutality to fucking global warming. There's like a whole shit ton of stuff that gets covered here. Most of it in not like in a huge amount of depth because there is a lot of it, but they do kind of touch on a whole bunch of these different things. And I think it works very well as a satirical kind of look at a bunch of stuff in society. However, I want to be clear on this. I fucking hated reading this issue. I was miserable reading this. Okay, apologies for the dodge barking. I'm going to pause here for just a second. Yeah, I just like every like couple of pages, actually not even every couple of pages, every page, usually multiple times per page, I was like having to close the issue and fucking facepalm because I was just like, fucking hell. Like it's a little bit tricky to talk about because it's hard to explain why I both love and hate this comic so much. Because again, I did not have fun reading this. Don't get me wrong, there's some good gags in here, absolutely. There's some stuff that I think is genuinely funny. My favorite like running bit in this, reflecting on like the comic industry and how it often thinks that seems to think that its readers are just fucking dumbasses who will not understand anything, is anytime, so in this version of the Marvel Universe, Earth is not Midgard, it's called Earthgard. And every time anybody says Earthgard, there's a caption box in the bottom that says like asterisk Earth. And at first I was like, haha, okay, that's kind of funny, a little like commentary on how comics often don't trust their audiences to like be able to figure stuff out. But then like it does it like 2 pages later and it's like still Earth in the caption box. And I was like, oh, okay, that's ridiculous. But then I was like, you know what? I've actually read comics that have done that. Like, that have literally, like, told me, like, where something is twice within, like, the same caption box over the span of an issue. So, like, I think that was pretty funny. The first page has, like, Odin is like, I did not raise a bum. You will go and you will get a haircut and a job in the tech industry. There's a point where there's a narration box where it's like, but Enchantress is too distracted to reply. And then the next bubble is a thought bubble from Enchantress saying, I am too distracted to reply. Like, there's lots of, I think there are some genuinely funny gags in here, but there's also stuff that, I think where it becomes something that where the experience became a negative reading experience for me is that it is, like, overwhelming. Like, it does not let up the entire issue. It is just throwing this at you constantly. Mm-hmm. And it becomes kind of exhausting. But at the same time, like, it is exhausting, right? Like, it is exhausting that, like, these are issues that we have not fixed, right? Like, I hate having to hear every week that, like, 100 other game devs got laid off. Like, that sucks. That is shitty. It's such that stuff exists. And so, it can be oppressive and overwhelming. I think that's what this issue does well is doing that, and making the audience feel that, and so like, it gets pretty, that actually, the video game thing, it goes pretty hard on that. There's one point where there's a fake ad in the back of the issue for a game, and it's just called like Microtransaction Wars. So like it takes swings at everything. And, again, it is very on the nose, but I think like in this situation, it works. And even the art, I fucking hate Greg Land as an artist. I do not like his art at all. I think it looks bad most of the time. And also, and listen, I don't know for a fact if this is true or not, but this is a very common thing that I've heard, which is that Greg Land, apparently, again, I don't know if this is true, but apparently he traces a lot of art. And not only that, he traces it from pornography. But I think this is like literally the only place where I think his art works, because it's like, and if I were Greg Land, I wouldn't know how to feel about being hired to write this issue, because like this is the epitome of like corporate Marvel art. And so I think if I were Greg Land, I'd be like, what the hell, man? Like, you're putting me on this issue that's just like making fun of like shitty corporate practices at Marvel. But the entire time I was reading this, I was fluctuating between, do I give this a 10 or do I give this a 1? And ultimately, there is one panel that swayed me and made me think, okay, I'm giving this a 10. And again, this is something I also don't normally do, but I just was like, I'm just going to read this verbatim, because I think this was where I was like, oh shit, that's kind of a gut punch of a panel. And it's where there's a very, very short sequence where you see Thor reading the issue, and then it cuts to the Minotaur, and he has this kind of monologue. So here we go. I'm just going to read this out. The Minotaur says, I wanted to rotate into this experience for just a moment to speak to you directly. The comic is self-parody, of course, but parody is an effective weapon in these times. A brand that takes itself seriously is mocked. A brand that mocks itself has free reign, a free pass into every consumer's head. Screenshot the cheesy advertisements, turn them into memes, make them viral. A disease that nests inside you, make them harmless. We can laugh together, can't we? We're such good friends. How could you do without us? We are allowed to play, to be in on our own joke, because in the end, the joke is on you. The joke is you, and we'll tell it until it eats you alive. So when I saw that, I was like, oh shit. Because I think that is kind of the knee-jerk reaction to this, to be like, oh, look at Marvel. Like, they're so self-aware. Like, good on them for, like, allowing this to be published. But seeing that is Al Ewing saying, hey, do not let Marvel off the hook. They are as much a part of this as any other corporation, right? Like, and it's, again, I made the comment in the previous issue of Immortal Thor, where I was like, how the hell did they let Ewing write this? And now, based on that speech, like, I understand that. Now I'm like, how the hell did Ewing get that speech in this issue? Because that's essentially being like, hey, don't forget, Marvel is part of this. Like, do not let them off the hook for, all of that corporatism, stuff that ultimately can be very destructive to art. I'm not going to get into that whole rant that I did last time, but if you want to hear me rant about capitalism in comics for like 7 minutes, you can go watch episode 40. That's all in there. But so, yeah, so that was where I was like, okay, I can appreciate this as what it is. I think that page, that panel is genuinely extremely impactful. And again, I do think like this is well done satire. It is, again, it's heavy-handed, it's on the nose, but I think it works. It's just, I had an unpleasant time reading it. But that page, I was like, okay, fair enough, Al Ewing, you got me. I'm going to give this a 10. This is the only issue I gave a 10 this week. However, this is not my pick of the week. This is a very weird situation in which I do not like this issue enough to give a pick of the week, but I appreciate it enough that I am going to give it a 10.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, now, I am in a predicament here, right? Not really a predicament, but man, oh man, when I first started reading this, I think I was kind of like you, where I really did not like it. Like that first scene with Odin where he's like, I don't raise bums, you need a haircut and work in tech. And I was just like, I just burst out laughing because that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting like something serious. I wasn't expecting this.
Oh, this
like,
is 100% what I was expecting.
Yeah, no. So I had no idea coming into this. I had no idea what to expect. So when I read that, I was thrown back. I just started laughing. I was like, what the fuck did I just read? Like, I double took. I went right back and read it again. I was like, okay, he did, in fact, just say this.
Yeah.
And so that's when I went down and read more. And, man, at first, like, I was like you. I did not like it. Well, like, the Thor truck. I was like, what the
Which, by the way, it's just a Cybertruck from Tesla, essentially.
No,
Yeah.
not even. Like,
and it's got like a weird AI unlocking mechanism that like doesn't work half the
I
time.
will try to explain this AI. So Mjolnir in this what is this, like, universe? Like, I don't even know what to call this. Like, just this issue, I guess.
This parody, I would say.
Parody. Yeah, okay. This parody, it's a smart hammer, essentially. It's been upgraded with like tech. And so how he unlocks his truck, right? It doesn't have a key so people can't, steal it.
It doesn't even have a door, does it?
It does have a door, but to unlock the door is like, it's this whole process, right? So on his hammer, he has to swipe, right? And it'll recognize his fingerprint through the swipe. It doesn't work 2 times and finally works the 3rd, right? After that, it sends Thor this one-time, like, 20-digit code, which he has to input into his thing, and then accept like 3 different terms and conditions, and then finally it will unlock the door.
Yeah.
Like, it took I feel like 5 minutes for him to unlock it, and then at the end of it, he's like, or no, not him, but the person he was talking to, she's like, who even needs keys? That was so easy. I'm just like, my man sat there for like 5 minutes, but whatever. Continuing on, he almost runs over a bicyclist because it's not him that's driving. No, it's AI that's driving.
Yeah.
He goes to a rally. They throw a banana peel on his car. That is a huge blow to Thor, generally, and then he attacks the protesters. That's where that brutality bit comes in right there. And they kept the traditionalism a little bit of like Thor comics, where like Loki was the main villain in the end. Well, at least in this parody. It's kind of like realistically, like, the corporation is the enemy, but like, for them, for this issue, for this parody, it's Loki.
For like us as the audience, the corporation is the villain, but like within the comic, they are portraying themselves as the hero. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. And we get an ad in the middle, like separating in between the pages of a comic book of Roxxon oil, and it's just Captain America saluting
like an oil tower.
An oil tower.
That is one thing that I genuinely think the fake ads in this are genius, because I had seen some speculation and people hoping that they would be in there. But I think what works best is that they are thrown in with real Marvel ads to get a bit to again be like, this is like obviously hyper, exaggerated parody satire, but like there's a lot of ads in comics, and like don't forget you're still reading one of them that has a bunch of them. So just like, again, just throwing that in there to being like, hey, audience, I know Marvel's making fun of themselves here, but they are still part of this. So I think that was very smart.
And then we cut to the beach scene where we get that was the whole scene with like the Enchantress, like she's too distracted in her thoughts, and then she's completely repeats it.
She's saying how much that she like is in like she kind of is torn between Scourge and Thor, and Scourge is there in the background just saying out loud like, "Oh, I'm so happy we're here on this beach in our drama-free relationship."
Yeah. And then that's another bit of AI comes in where Thor just asks like an AI on his phone, like, who's the bad guy? And it's just the AI is just like, yeah, it's Loki. And he's just like, you're right. And it's like, yeah, well, okay, I don't know. And then that whole team, it was Executioner, Enchantress, Thor, and it was Heimdall.
Was Balder there too, or am I imagining that?
Balder? Yeah, well, you're imagining that one. Okay. They go and crash Loki. Where he was hiding, at least, and we get another ad, but it's a smaller ad, but it was for the way they found Loki was basically they followed Loki's like the people he was like coercing, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It was like mind control, like brainwashing, hypnotizing thing. I think, right? Was that or was he just no? Actually, you're right. He just kind of convinced them. I think.
Yeah, he convinced them with, again, the parody calls it lies, but it's not really lies, in the real world. But
there's the point where he's like, I got you now, Thor, and then he just turns to the group and he's like, global warming exists, and they're like, and then Thor's like, no.
Yeah, exactly, and they're he's trying to be like, no, it doesn't. You're lying to these people. This is like, well,
okay. And then he pulls out the whole like, well, even if global warming is real, a life without tech is way worse than all of us dying. So
Yeah.
here's the other thing you forgot to mention about Heimdall as well, which I just remembered. The reason that Thor uses AI to check who is behind all of it is because he asked Heimdall at first, and Heimdall's like, well, yeah, I could use my all-seeing, sight to go and see who it is, but you know what? It's nothing compared to this Roxxon AI.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was like a little mini ad in there.
Yeah.
That's right. And then Thor and the gang. I guess mostly Thor, because the gang actually ran away. Now that I remember, they started fighting him, and that's when we with Loki's illusion magic, it kind of like cuts off a bit, and we get back to the real world with that whole monologue, Minotaur monologue, and then we cut back in again to another product placement, which this one was virtual reality glasses. And
yeah,
we get one snippet of the executioner being like, you can get your own at a low price of $899, $999. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
What's so sad about that is that the Apple Vision Pro is more expensive in the real.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. And then we get another scene, which when I read it, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's okay, so through the goggles, they control these drones that they shoot 200, and I quote, not quite lethal taser rounds per
that's
second.
What I was thinking of before.
And the taser rounds are 1,000 volts each.
Yep.
Like, that's gonna kill
a
person with just one. Like, 200 shots per second. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
Oh, man. Again, okay, so going into this, I really hated it. I was not enjoying it. I was just like, what the fuck am I reading? As I kept reading, I just couldn't help but start laughing at just everything that was in here. Like, while they didn't like strictly mention like police brutality, like all this like stuff like this, like it was very heavily insinuated, right?
Oh yeah.
And like that's not like, obviously that's not what I was laughing at.
Yeah.
But like, it was just the way they like brought about it in this.
Yeah, the absurdity of how it's portrayed. Yeah,
it's like genuinely like, it's just kind of entertaining to read how they just like bring it all in and like kind of make it flow correctly with like all the product placement, all the like ads, because even the Captain America ad, it like flow, like you just kind of like read past it, and you can't help but just like at least I did. I was just like, oh, okay, it's an ad, and I just skimmed right past it like I do anyways. And so like it was just like everything about it was just like so cohesive and just like so well written in general, like honestly, that you just can't help but like in the end like kind of like it.
Yeah, again, it's like I think that's where I'm at, is where like I didn't enjoy reading it, but I very much appreciate and respect what it is and the effort that it took to get this there. And I do think like a lot of it is genuinely funny. Like, we didn't even mention the fact that Thor's like secret identity in this universe, his name is Chad Hammer.
Chad Hammer, yeah.
So like there's a lot of like genuinely funny gags in here. But yeah, I was kind of like, it was just like, Jesus, this is relentless. But again, I appreciate that's how that is in the real world. I mean, we hear about this shit all the time. It is relentless. It is hard to hear. And so, I think this actually managed to convey that very effectively. And, again, it is like, again, it's very heavy-handed on the nose parody / satire. But I think in this sort of situation, in this context, I think that works very effectively. I think like you absolutely could not have done this in a 6-1-6-1, but I think in this kind of specialized format, I think this is absolutely like has a very clear vision of what it wants to be and do, and it does that like as good as it can be done. And so I appreciate that and I respect it. But again, reading it, I was just like, God, this is a lot.
Yeah. Well, so I gave it a 9. Well, there's my pick. See, I did give it a 9. I also don't think it's gonna be my pick of the week.
Yeah.
And yeah. I'll just leave it at that. I'll give it a 9 though. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We should probably mention as well, by the way, you don't have to read this if you're reading Immortal Thor. I'm sure you probably know that if you are reading it, but like you probably should, because I think also like Chad Hammer is seemingly going to be in Immortal Thor, so it might help to have that kind of context. But
yes, that is true, based off one of the covers later on. Yeah, let's go to Green Lantern here.
Okay, that would be Green Lantern War Journal number 8. Written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. The artist is Montos. So, okay, it was recently, I think it was recently revealed that this series is only going to issue number 12. I don't know if we knew that from the start or if that's kind of a recent thing, but like it is only going till 12. And so I have decided because of that, because I was kind of on the fence as to whether or not I was going to keep going with this one, but like because of that, I definitely am.
Yeah.
I like this enough to see this through to the end, but I was like, if it was going on forever, then I wouldn't know if I'd want to stick around with it for that long. But yeah, essentially it's like John is kind of in this war-torn area. He kind of finds this like spaceship stranded crew where they're kind of trying to escape this area because there's the dark star of the Fen, which is growing and is going to consume them and also eventually the entire universe. So because of that, it's also sending like a bunch of like big scary like space monsters at them. And it's at the end you find out that that dude who was just kind of sitting on that rock in the last issue is actually like the person who's like the guardian of that gate, and he's kind of the only reason that it's not expanded even farther already. And so they kind of need to save him and close the dark star of the Fen, otherwise the whole universe is just going to be destroyed. Then the other part is Varin and the Radiant Dead go and visit John's mom and his fake construct sister Ellie, and is like, yo, John's never coming back and everybody hates you. And so yeah, and I just like the Revenant Queen is, I guess, focusing on Earth. We haven't seen anything from the Revenant Queen in a little bit, so I don't really know what's going on with her. But yeah, that's kind of going on there. Also, I think Guy Gardner's in this, right?
His voices, at least.
Oh, right. That's what it was. Yeah, because Lantern Shepherd asked for help from Guy Gardner, and he's like, "Here, go in the back of my closet and find the Book of Oa."
That should have some answers for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what this issue is. I did like it. I think the art looks great. That's been consistent throughout the whole series so far. I think the panel layouts are all cool and interesting. I do kind of like this, side story of John being on this, this kind of lost planet trying to take down the Dark Star of the Fen. It does feel a little bit weird that we're spending so much time on this because, like, now knowing that there are not that many issues of the series left, it's kind of like, okay, this is interesting choice to focus on this instead of the Radiant Dead, which is still kind of going on Earth, and like they're kind of ignoring that, at least from like John's part of it. So that is a little bit weird, and I could see that becoming a problem if like this side story lasts past like next issue. But for now, I do think I think this issue was pretty good. I liked it. I had fun reading it. I think like this series has been solid. It's not always incredible. There have been issues that I haven't been a huge fan of, but I've been generally enjoying it more or less, and this one was no exception. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't overly mind this one. I do agree that I've been liking this like whole war-torn planet Dark Star of the Fen part a lot more than I'm just like uninterested in the Earth stuff at this point. Like I don't know, like the whole like mom and like sister thing going on over there. I just like I don't know, it's just uninteresting to me. And then considering that we're only going to number 12 on this one, I assumed that now that we know at least now that John knows what the problem with the whole Dark Star thing is, I assume next issue he'll like resolve that, possibly either at the beginning of issue number 10 or at the end of number 9. Make it home. He meets up with Lantern Shepherd. They figure out a solution through Book of Oa, possibly, and then 11 and 12 is just them fighting back Radiant Dead. But I don't know. We'll see. Overall, pretty high. I give it a 7.
I'd give it an 8. I guess let's do Titans next.
Titans. All right.
This Titans number 10, written by Tom Taylor. The artist is Lucas Mayer. It feels like it's been a really long time since we've talked about this one, because it has been. The last time Titans, the last week there was a Titans issue was the one we missed last month. So it's been a couple months. But this issue, it's essentially just more of the kind of politics of hell, kind of, with Trigon kind of. Well, Trigon sending one of his other kids to try and give Raven some direction and, have her actually start doing stuff on Earth and not just kind of hanging out with the Titans. She has apparently, since last issue, wiped Gar's kind of all his tortured emotions. I don't know if that happened in the last issue or if it was between. I know they mentioned it last issue, but I don't know if it actually happened last issue. And then other than that, Tempest officially joins the team, and then Trigon kind of manipulates the other demon trilogy into going and attacking the Titans, and they have a big fight. And Raven cuts his arm off because he has a big staff that's Trigon's, and it's very powerful staff.
It's giving him power essentially.
Yeah. And then Raven just drives him into a portal and like tortures him. And also there's some stuff with Waller.
Yes.
Yeah. She's making like it looks like an Amazo robot kind of.
Yeah, like it's a more sophisticated one, it seems. Yeah.
Right. To kill the Titans, presumably building up to absolute power. By the way, I found out that Failsafe is not actually done in Batman after this arc. It's carrying over into absolute power. So that's great. Yeah. Amanda Waller is like going to be using Failsafe to like as part of her plan or something, it seems. So that's good. Glad to hear that. We're not done with Failsafe yet, apparently. Anyway, though, as far as Titans goes, I liked it. I think it's fun. I think it's good. It's again like a pretty simple issue. In terms of plot, it's just kind of a big fight. But I do like the dynamic of Raven kind of being this dark Raven and kind of trying to navigate through the Titans. It seems like Dick might have it figured out after this issue.
After, especially this issue. If I remember correctly, it was, I don't remember if it was after they spoke about the Gar thing or if it was when she cut off his arm, or cut off the demon's arm. I
think what it was, from my memory, is we saw, because it's the panel of like, it's just his eyes and you see him kind of narrowing. I think that's right after she drags him into the portal.
Because she like because like she cuts off his arm, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody was like, "Was that really necessary?"
It was done.
And then and then she like monologues for a bit while dragging him into the portal.
So that'll be interesting. I'm glad about that. Like, as much as I have enjoyed the dynamic of Dark Raven kind of being in the Titans, I definitely do want that to evolve a little bit so that it doesn't become super stagnant. So I think next issue is a good place to do that, and I think it works here. So yeah, I like this quite a bit. I think it's a pretty solid issue. I like the art a lot. I think Lucas Mayer is doing a great job on the series, and pretty good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, this one moved a bit of the story of the whole Dark Raven, and what is it? The like Dark Queen or something like that?
The Dark Winged Queen, I think it might be.
Oh yeah, Dark Winged Queen. Yeah. Title right here. It's part 3. Yeah, in this issue she kind of learns how to like get the crown or whatever. But moving the story along. So but other than that, pretty good. I actually quite enjoyed this one too. Oh, another thing I will say is people are kind of getting used to Gar again, and I mean that kind of in like the lightest of sense.
Yeah, not really.
Like there were protesters in front of Titan Tower when the Deep trilogy started attacking, and Gar was a horse, and he like went up to these two to like basically like get them out of the way, and one of them was like hell no, like stay away from me, you beast. And he's like, bro, I'm just like trying to rescue you, like just get you to safety. And he's like, yeah, well, I don't want your help. And then the person behind him is like, she's like, shut the fuck up and get on the damn horse. And he just rides off with both of them, which I thought was like funny. Like some people are like, while they don't like him, they are willing to let him help in like true times of crisis. So like at that point, like some people are like coming around to it, she was there for protesting against them, but like she's also like, I understand my limits, but I don't know, I gave it an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well.
All right, let me talk about Moon Man here real quick.
Okay.
Moon Man number 2, let's see here, I got writer Kyle Higgins and Scott Muscudi. This is the Kid Cudi comic, and artist by Marco Locati. What can I say about this one? Story-wise, we don't get really too much more about the story as a whole. The main character, I'm forgetting his name, Micah?
Ramon, yeah.
Ramon. Micah's the brother, the younger brother. Ramon, he has to fly back to... I forgot where they stationed out of.
The moon.
No, not the moon, but he has to, like, basically where they launched the rocket from. I don't know exactly. Remember exactly.
The moon.
No, not the moon.
He's the Moon Man, Sebastian.
He is the Moon Man, but he's from Earth.
He has to live on the moon.
God. Whatever. He has to go back to like Janice. I'm gonna say Janice for an interview with the rest of his like crew members and stuff like that. They do that. Lickety splits. He goes back to Cleveland.
The moon?
Not the moon. Just to hang out with his younger brother, because that's like why he like basically moved back home, and they had an argument, and he like goes out and explores a bit of his powers, saves these two spray painting kids, possibly kills a security guard, kind of unsure, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, man, art is still not doing it for me. It's especially when it's at least when he's using his powers. It just the way it all like the art is when he's using his powers makes it so hard to follow. Story wise, it's honestly kind of just boring. It's a lot. Oh, it's a read. A lot of which about just like his like struggles with just the company itself. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was. I don't even want to say it was It was a thing. I will pick up the next one, but we'll see if I pick up anywhere after that. I'd give this one a 6. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do a Marvel book here. Let's talk about Giant Size Hulk #1. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. The artist is Andrea Briccardo. There is also a backup story, which is a reprint of a previous comic from, I think, like the 90s or something. That one's written by Peter David, and the artist is Dale Keown. So this is the first of the Giant Size books that I'm reading this year. They've been doing one every month this year because it's like the 50th anniversary of the original Giant Size issues at Marvel. Which, by the way, can I just say, like, what a weird thing to celebrate a 50th anniversary for? Like, those issues were not good. I've read a lot of them. I don't know why we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of them, but whatever. This is essentially, the Hulk is just kind of, he's hitching a ride on a train, and then, I should say Bruce Banner, he's not the Hulk at the start of this. And then a Crossroads Devil shows up, and they have a big fight. And the Crossroads Devil wants Charlie's, like, doll, like, that's holding her soul for some reason. And so Hulk's trying to, like, stop that from happening, and they have a big fight, and then they have a big fight on a train. And then the Hulk beats him, and that's kind of it. So I have a question. Did you read this?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so because I didn't see it on our poll list. So, okay, so I think I like this. I think it's good. I think it's better than the last arc, and it is from the same writer. I think the art is very good. I think it's very solid. It's I really like the color palette here. It is a little bit like kind of flat in terms of like there's not a whole lot of colors used, and they're kind of muted, but I think they work really well here. I liked it quite a bit. The colorist on this, I think, must have been Glynis Oliver, because she's the only one on here I see, but maybe it was like Andrea Ricciardo as well. I don't know. Regardless, though, I think the action was very cool. I think the fight on the train was like well drawn and staged and mapped out and everything. There were some cool double page kind of spreads in it, which I think works very well. And yeah, I just think this was a very solid issue. I'm hoping that like we can kind of get back to this kind of level of quality in the main book, because yeah, the last arc was iffy, to be kind. I liked it more than Sebastian did, I think, but regardless, yeah, I think this was a good issue. I liked it. Definitely not essential reading, but I think it's fun. It doesn't like push the main Hulk story forward, but I enjoyed it, and I gave it an 8. I liked it.
Well then, roving right along.
Roving right along. Yeah.
Roving right along. We will talk about Wonder Woman.
Okay, this is. I keep doing that like NPC voice. I'm just like, okay. This is written by Tom King. The artist is Daniel Sampere or Samperi. This is number 8. I think I said that already. So again, like from a plot perspective, there's not a lot that happens here. It's split between. I didn't read the backup, by the way. There's a backup, but I didn't read it. But the backup is written by Tom King, and the artist is Belen Ortega. So yeah, this picks up after issue number 6. So ignoring the events of issue number 7, where her and Superman went to the mall. And so yeah, Diana has been captured by the Sovereign's team and is now being held captive like just right with the Sovereign. And she's being like tied up by the lasso of lies, where the Sovereign is trying to feed her this kind of fake reality of her just like being a housewife from the 1950s to Steve Trevor. And so it very much is kind of, it's split back and forth between that and Wonder Woman in the just present day, trying to kind of like break free of that hold, as the Sovereign is kind of putting her in this reality where she's just like in these very like 1950s kind of, at that point, traditional gender roles, in quotes. And so yeah, it's just her kind of breaking out of that, and eventually she does, and she's like, fuck you, Sovereign, I'm gonna punch you in the face now. And that's where the issue kind of ends. So again, like from a plot perspective, it doesn't really move anything forward here. I do think, though, this is the best issue we've had in a while. I think the narration from the Sovereign was less irritating to me here. And I think it's because, like, even though some of it was narration while Diana was, like, in the fake world, they were still, like, in the same room. He was, like, presumably speaking to her.
I assume the way I kind of took it was that, like, whenever he was, like, talking about, because he was always, like, reciting more
That's
than
true.
narrating.
He is kind of, yeah, it's kind of like in the third person, like, this is what happened here, yeah.
Yeah, and then whenever he did, it would always pertain to what that 1950s version of Diana had to like, do, essentially.
Right. You're right.
So I think it was like some sort of like brainwash, because she's tied up with the lasso of lies. Yeah. So I think it's like that's like, you know, kind of like what he was doing was just like brainwashing her to like make her believe or whatever. Overall, it was certainly it was a good read. I enjoyed it. The whole like seeing her, like the 1950s version of her at least, like kind of like break free of Steve Trevor. Like it started with like, or at least you started seeing it with the vacuum where she like threw it out the window and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the read. I thought the art was great still.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think, okay, so now that she like rips through the lasso of lies, do you think it'll still be in play? Like, I don't know how that works necessarily. Like if it's just like completely ruined now, or
yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to tell, is that the lasso of lies on the cover of issue number 10 that Donna's holding? Because it looks like it.
Well, no, she has her own lasso, if you remember.
I know she does, but this looks like exactly the same. I don't know. Maybe. It's tough to say. I think that's an interesting plot device. So I would be interested to see it fit around a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Pretty good. I gave it an 8.
I give it an 8 as well. This is, again, like, every time I read an issue of this, I feel just so wildly different on this series. Just like, I didn't like the last issue. I've been, like, very back and forth on a lot of the other ones, but, like, this one is like, okay, I'm sticking around for another couple issues at least, because I did like this one. All right, fine, let's go Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander, all right.
This is issue number 4 of Cobra Commander, the second to last issue of Cobra Commander. And the Energon universe is in danger, Sebastian. It's written by Joshua Williamson. The artist is Andrea Milana. That's what the blurb says, by the way. The Energon universe is in danger in all caps.
That's where you pulled that out from.
Okay, so most of this issue is a big old fight between Cobra Commander and another guy. I don't know what his name is, and I don't see him listed.
I'm pretty sure it's the Nemesis Enforcer.
Could be the Nemesis Enforcer, yeah. So after escaping the Dreadnoks last issue, Cobra Commander goes and finds like the scientist who has been working for them, and he's like he's found a way to not replicate or even duplicate Energon, but to kind of expand it so that you can kind of get more use out of it. Yes. So that Cobra Commander has him kind of in his troop, and then the Dreadnoughts kind of come around, but then the big fucking Nemesis Enforcer guy also shows up, and they have a big fight, ending in Cobra Commander using an Iron Man glove of Energon to just fucking shoot a repulsor blast straight through the guy and kill him.
Yep.
He does kind of he goes to walk off into the sunset a little bit as well, and he's with his Energon scientist, and I don't remember, I think he said something that was kind of significant there, but I don't remember for the life of me what it was.
It was the fact that he caught up to the one captured Dreadnought to give him information about their supplier for weapons and stuff.
Oh, right.
And the Dreadnought gives him Destro's name.
Right. Yes. So that is interesting because I think not so much I speculated that I thought that Destro, the Destro series that's coming in June, was kind of going to be a follow-up to Duke and kind of pick up where that left off. But it seems like both of these series are now kind of converging in a way that is quite interesting. I have not read Duke number 5 yet. I have bought it, but I haven't read it yet. So I don't know if Cobra Commander will show up there or if Duke will show up in this. But Destro is now kind of linking the two series together. Yes. I think Destro will be in the next issue of Cobra Commander, absolutely. But it'll be interesting to see. It seems that now Destro may actually be even more of a sequel to this than to Duke, because we did get the information on the second issue of Destro, and it's interesting. I think they do mention Cobra Commander in it. I'm going to try and pull it up right here. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so the world is changing, and Destro means to come out on top, but with Cobra Commander breathing down his neck and mercenaries Zamat and Tomach seeking to dethrone him as the world's premier weapons manufacturer, he'll have to survive the future in order to build it. So yeah, sounds like Cobra Commander is going to be present in the Destro series in a fairly significant capacity, it seems, which I'm really excited for. I have ranted many times about the Energon universe and how I think it's one of the best things happening in comics right now. So I won't go too far into that again. But I love the Energon universe. I think it's very exciting. And I like this issue quite a bit. I think it's a good, solid issue. Not like anything crazy amazing, but I think the fight was cool. And I think, Cobra Commander's little repulsor thing was cool. And yeah, I think they're just like really doing a good job of establishing Cobra Commander as a credible threat to this universe and to the future G.I. Joe team. Because I've talked about this before. I don't know jack shit about G.I. Joe, but one of the few things I do know is that in that show, Cobra Commander's he's like a major, major coward. And I think it's a smart idea to change that for this universe, because it does mean that he's intimidating. I genuinely see this guy as a major threat to the universe. And so I think this issue does a really good job of just kind of building that out, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. I won't lie. I don't remember where this Nemesis guy came from.
I think he's the Cobra Law bodyguard that was assigned to him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is too, but I don't remember him being in this form last issue. And so when I saw him this issue, I was like, did we see that? And
we didn't talk about it last issue, but I think he kind of transformed into that and slaughtered a bunch of the Dreadnoks.
In
the last issue.
Yeah, I get that in this issue, obviously. But I just didn't remember it, so I was like, so I kind of assumed it was that guy as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then what else? Yeah, overall, pretty alright issue. I think it's been one of the better Cobra Commander ones we've gotten recently, at least, because some of the past couple ones
I liked issue 3 a lot. We didn't talk about it, but I liked issue 3 a lot.
That's why.
Yeah, Cobra Commander was also one of those ones we missed last month. Yeah.
Straight, I didn't read number 3. That's
oh my god. Yeah, that would do it. Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought I read it. Okay, well I have to go back and read number 3 to get some context.
I thought 3 was great. Yeah, I really liked 3.
Okay, yeah. Well, oh man, yeah. Compared to 1 and 2, then I guess we got a bit more. I feel. I don't know how to really feel. I think if I remember correctly, 2 was all right. 2 was the one that was all right.
2 was 2 has been the worst of this series so far.
Yeah, and I think that's since that's the most recent one in my mind. That's why I'm this one was actually pretty good. It's been sticking in your head for 2 months now because you skipped issue 3. Oh my god, I can't believe I did that. I didn't even realize. Yeah, but overall, I think it was pretty alright. Like you said, the whole the Destro being the thing. I think Destro's gonna connect more to this series, and then the other G.I. Joe one coming out. It's Scarlet something, right? Yeah. That one I feel like is going to connect more to Duke, possibly.
That seems like kind of its own thing, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think you obviously don't know, but I think she's part of the G.I. Joe team.
I think she is too, yeah.
And so that's why I think it's going to connect. They're going to keep the Cobra stuff more connected.
Sure.
And then the G.I. Joe stuff more connected. I don't know. And so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty good. I gave it an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well. Yeah, I think the reason why I kind of think that Destro will also be carrying on from Duke is just because he's in Duke. But yeah, it seems like Scarlet is going to be taking place primarily in Japan. So I don't know if Duke will be kind of around. I think we might get a last issue thing where he pops up and he's like, "Hey, come join G.I. Joe. I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers initiative."
Yeah.
And then kind of do that whole thing. But yeah, Cobra Commander, pretty good. Liked it.
All right. Let's go with Twilight.
Okay, Twilight the movie.
Yes.
I love Robert Pattinson.
Are you Jacob or Edward?
I've never seen a Twilight movie in my life, so I don't think I can answer that really effectively. So yeah, Avengers Twilight though. This is Avengers Twilight number 5. This is the second to last issue of this series as well. Written by Chip Zdarsky. Artist is Daniel Acuna. So this is, for all intents and purposes, just kind of a big brawl issue. We have kind of a conversation between Red Skull and Cap and a few of the others at the Capitol building. And then I think Thor's there as well, and maybe Kamala.
Thor is there. And Kamala, less apparent, but she is there.
Yeah, and then the other part, and I would say the bigger part of the issue is Tony and James kind of having their kind of major fight, and seemingly kind of the conclusion to their character arcs for all intents and purposes. I think this is kind of like the let's close out Iron Man's story here, and then do the Captain America thing next issue. So that's kind of that's the main part of this is that fight between Tony and James primarily. There's a cool little bit where like they're launching a bunch of nukes and a bunch of other Iron Man suits.
Missiles,
yeah. That James controls, and then Tony's like, "Yeah, sorry, I was just stalling. I know my technology very well." Then he's kind of like commandeers all of them. That was very cool. Also, we get a cool scene where like Luke Cage suits up, and he's like, "I'm going back into the fight." And then the issue ends with somebody's like, "Oh shit, Red Skull's dropping a nuke," and then so Tony flies up to try and stop it.
Nope.
And then you just see him be like, "Oh no," and then you have Red Skull kind of being like, "Yeah, H Day was never meant like it never stood for Hero Day. It was H Day because of the Hulk," and then you just see the Hulk drop in, and he's got like those like the fucking I don't know what they're called, but like the little things on their head. You know, the I know Sebastian knows he's read it, but like when people have the like things on their head, right? And it's like the brain things, and they have the little like strands off of them, and he's got that. So yeah, very cool cliffhanger. That was good stuff. This is a nitpick. I do wish that like the characters on the cover like related more to the issue sometimes. Because, like, Hawkeye's barely in this. And issue 3, like, Kamala was barely in it as well. Like, obviously, issue number 1 was fine as its Cap. But I think, like... And then Tony was number 2 for some reason, even though he's not in it. So I wish they kind of tweaked that a little bit. I think, like, you could have all these same covers. Just put them in a different order, and I think it would be fine.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah, but, I mean, I like this... I liked this a lot. I think it might be my least favorite issue of the series so far, though.
It is for me.
I think it's good, but I do think, like, again, it's kind of just a straight up fight. And for me, for whatever reason, I didn't connect too much with the Tony and James confrontation. So, like, ultimately, I liked it, and I think the cliffhanger is great. But I do think that this is a weaker issue than the previous ones.
Although, all right, I'm gonna ask you a quick question though.
Okay.
Did you fall asleep during this one too?
No.
Okay.
Did I miss a lot?
Your information is a bit wrong here, man.
Is it?
Just a smidge. You know, you said Tony went up to stop the nuke/Hulk.
Oh, it was Thor, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
There it is.
Yeah. I got the air battles confused.
But no, yeah, I think I agree with it that I was a bit. And the whole, at least the emotional side of the whole Tony and James fight, the physical part where like James was like literally just like ripping through like Iron Man's armor when he's like essentially like at this point he just needs that to live, you know, because he's just a head.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was the part I was just like, oh god, not like I don't want to see him die again, bro. Like,
yeah.
And then, but yeah, I was definitely much more interested in the Cap versus Red Skull part of it, at least. Yeah, just the whole like that whole conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, I will say this has been my least favorite of the series. Not really for any particular reason.
No, I'm the same way. Yeah.
It's just like I just didn't enjoy it as much as the other 4 so far.
I think maybe because it was so focused on the fight, and so the character dynamics and interactions, I think, have been fantastic throughout this. They didn't get as much page time, and so I think that might have been it for me.
No, yeah, that probably was it. That's probably why. Yeah, the whole cliffhanger at the end with the Hulk being in there, I really didn't see that coming. I thought he was gonna be introduced in this one, but like on the good guy's side, not as like an enemy. And then I assume they're brainwashing him some way or the other, and I think that's what those things on him are. Because otherwise, I really don't see him, fighting his friends. Right. And I kind of hope we get a bit more backstory into H-Day next issue.
I don't know if we will. I don't know if there's time for it.
I like at least just like, especially since now we know that the Hulk is what caused H-Day.
Like what his role was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that first issue, we saw fucking Spider-Man die, man.
Yeah.
Why did the Hulk kill Spider-Man?
Well, it might not have been the Hulk that killed Spider-Man. In fact, I think we saw how he died, and it wasn't the Hulk.
Well, he got impaled. That's how he died. But...
Okay. I don't remember if we saw him like actually being impaled by somebody in that issue or not. Okay.
No. rubble that he was impaled into, but
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he was rescuing somebody. But still,
He was rescuing the Hulk.
Still, Hulk killed Spider-Man, and I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, I gave this an 8.
I had this at a 9. I think that's just because I'm like so used to giving the series 9s. But I'm going to drop it to an 8 as well. I think, it's not quite as good. I'm going to move to Ultimate Black Panther. This is number 3 of Ultimate Black Panther, written by Brian Hill. The artist is Stefano Caselli. Again, hardly anything happens in this. That being said, I think this is my favorite issue of the series, actually. I thought this was good. I liked it.
I have to agree with you there.
Yeah, which is kind of it's kind of strange because like again, nothing happens in this issue. Really, all that happens is that Shuri and Okoye have a fight at the start because they're kind of disagreeing over T'Challa's
absence.
Him being so off the grid, and then it cuts to just T'Challa and Killmonger just kind of talking and getting introduced to each other a little bit. One question, so we know that Ultimate Spider-Man is moving in real time, at least for the first arc, where every issue is the next month, right? Or it takes place in the next month, right? So issue number 1 was in January, issue number 2 was in February, was set in February, issue number 3 was set in March, issue 4 is set in April.
Okay.
Is that time jump in all of these? Because we seem to have missed a lot of stuff in between these 2 issues. Because last issue ended with Storm showing up to T'Challa.
Yes.
Killmonger was not there, I don't think. And now suddenly they're just around a campfire, just talking, him and Killmonger, and Storm's not there. Mm-hmm. So are we jumping with all of these? Because it kind of seems like maybe we are now.
I didn't put that whole each issue takes a month apart thing for Spider-Man. But I mean, if that's the case with this one, then I understand the whole Okoye Shuri fight a bit more in that sense.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
I will understand that a bit more. And then it would make sense because the T'Challa and Eric conversation did kind of make it seem like they had at least known each other, it wasn't their first time meeting.
Yeah, right.
And they were Eric was just kind of getting the reins on whether he can trust T'Challa to show that whole ruins. Right. So I would assume so then.
Yeah, I think that's cool conceptually to have the universe kind of moving in real time. I think it could end up being kind of tricky though, structuring some of these later arcs if it keeps doing that. So I hope that's kind of just not going to stick around forever, but I do think it's an interesting idea. But then the rest of the issue is T'Challa and Killmonger just kind of getting to know each other a little bit, and then they go to a big cave. It's a big Black Panther mouth in a cave, and they go and they meet Storm. And they're we got to show you something, T'Challa. It's a big old thing. It's the history of the whole world is going to be thrown into disarray. And they go, and the cliffhanger is just them standing in front of a big green ball.
Yep.
And when I saw that, I was like, what does that mean? Is this supposed to be significant to us? So my thought is that the city from Ultimate Invasion?
Okay.
Because we know that got surrounded by a dome.
But did
they manage
transported though?
Right. But I'm just what else could that be? It's a green ball.
I don't think there's no way it's that city, because they were saying that those ruins are older than Wakanda. And that had to have happened way before.
That's
the
true.
dome thing.
That is true, yeah. I guess because I kind of thought of it as I just saw this review on Leaf Comics. It just says, "You must ponder the orb." So thank you for that, Wolf Cola. But I think so you're probably right. It probably isn't related to that. That was just the only thing I could think of that I'm what else could this fucking be?
No, I genuinely, I was like, are they gonna explain this? I was like, what the fuck is that? I don't.
That's the thing.
I don't.
It's it's played it's this big oh holy shit cliffhanger, but it's just what? I guess I am intrigued, but I don't know. Either way, it is. I think it's a good issue. I think despite it being very light on action and light on any plot development, I think the dialogue is very well written. I think the characters interplay off each other works very well. So I like this issue more than the previous 2 issues. I think this is pretty solid. And I think also this is the issue that it started to feel like it was a little bit more distinguished from 616. Because I think the previous 2 issues I haven't really felt that, but seeing T'Challa interact with this version of Storm and this version of Killmonger, it's very different than him interacting with the 616 versions of them. And so I think that's kind of where I started to feel like, okay, I'm seeing a little bit more differentiation here. But yeah, other than that, not much to say on it. I think it was pretty good though.
All right, yeah. What are you giving it?
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay, same. All right, yeah, 8 as well over here.
Do you have anything else to say on it? I don't think you really reviewed it much.
I don't know. I pondered the orb enough. I don't know.
Yeah, we're pondering the orb. I don't know how we're gonna keep pondering the orb for a whole nother month now.
Yeah. What if Venom?
I knew it. Okay, this is written by. Hang on 1 second. I gotta find.
I gotta find what you reviewed it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, this is written by Jeremy Holt, I believe, and the artist is Manuel Garcia. So I didn't like this. I think this is pretty bad. I think this is the worst issue of the series so far. I was just fucking bored. Like, it got better towards the end, I think. But, like, most of this issue... The issue starts with, like, Strange kind of fights the symbiote a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then, like, it kind of slyly possesses him. And then the Enchantress just shows up for some fucking reason.
Yep.
And then, like, is about to, like, just fucking take his head as a trophy. And then the symbiote's like, surprise, I'm still here. And then they just fight Enchantress. And then Strange is like, well, if we're gonna work together, you have to not touch the Eye of Agamotto. And then Moon Knight shows up again and is like, hey, come to the Midnight Mission and save us all. So I think, first of all, I don't like the art in this issue very much, but I do really like the design of the Venom Strange. I think it looks very cool.
Symbiote Supreme.
Yeah. And then the other part that I think was kind of cool, so their like interaction after the Enchantress fight I thought was okay. The other thing I liked about this issue was when they are fighting the Enchantress, and then the Enchantress is like, I can hear the symbiote, and starts like communicating mentally with the symbiote. I thought that was cool. That was a cool little reveal there. But other than that, I just think this is boring as hell. Like, I just didn't like it. Like the fight just felt like it was just there to fill pages. And I think, like, again, just the constantly, we've talked about this before in every other issue we've talked about this but like the constantly having to shift to the symbiote onto a new person has already worn out its welcome. Also, like, why is this what if? There is no reason this could not be in 616 right now. Like, it's not changing jack shit. And I'm just like, why does this exist? Why does it exist? And why are you making me read this, Sebastian? It's bad. I don't like it anymore. I thought it was okay before. I thought it was just kind of whatever, but this is bad. I don't like it. I don't blame the creative team. Like, I'm sure they're doing the best they can with this crap premise. But yeah, I thought this kind of sucked.
Yeah, I mean, man, I will agree with you there. This one was not good. Yeah, I think, like, yeah, the whole beginning scene between the Strange and the symbiote in the bar was just. Yeah, it was because they were at the bar. That's where they first met, at the bar where Sabretooth and Wolverine fought last
okay.
issue.
I totally missed that. I thought they were just still in the Sanctum.
No. They were at the bar. That's where the jar got dropped and whatever. You know, that was like cool. They got introduced there, but then Strange. Like, I never understood this. But like, Strange somehow kept losing the symbiote because it would camouflage itself, but it would literally just go like behind him and still be black goo.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I assume that was so, like, we could tell it was there.
Right.
But, like, I don't know. That was just, like, kind of fucking with me. And then, yeah, he goes back to the Sanctum, and just Enchantress is just chilling there in, like, a robe. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what is she? Okay. And then she's just like, yeah, I'm here to, like, kill you, though. It's just like, what the fuck? Did they just start fighting all of a sudden? And then that's when the symbiote comes back into play, and Strange is like, no, you stay. I have to deal with her. And then Strange is like, and then the symbiote kind of, like, convinces him to, like, let him help. And then they basically scare off Enchantress, because they didn't even beat her. They just, like, scared her off.
She's just like, I've had enough of this. I'm just gonna leave now.
Yeah, and then he tries to touch the Eye of Agamotto. Strange's mind is, like, too strong, so he, like, rips him off somehow, or, like, fends him back. I don't remember exactly. And then they do end up being, like, staying together, and then then that's when Moon Knight shows up. I don't know. I feel like they added Doctor Strange in here just to get, like, some sort of mystic element.
Maybe
into here.
Yeah.
Because, like, I really don't, like,
but Loki's next issue, though. So, like, why?
Yeah, but, like, Loki's evil. So, like, I feel like he'd embrace it somewhere or the other to, like, ensue chaos. I don't know.
Is that how Loki's gonna get it, by the way? Did Enchantress somehow get like a small sample of it and is gonna give it to him? I bet that's what's gonna happen.
Now that you mention it, probably. I really was like not know because like every other time they've like kind of insinuated how the next person is gonna get it. Loki just I guess Enchantress. I guess then
yeah.
But yeah, man, I didn't like this one that much at all.
Yeah,
it felt pointless to me.
Yep.
Like
yeah.
I gave it a 5.
I give it a 4. Okay, so I know you think I'm gonna zig Sebastian, but I'm gonna zad. We're doing Superman.
I don't like this.
This is Superman number 13. That's right, we're not ending on an event. This is the second to last issue we're going to be talking about. This is written by Joshua Williamson. The artist is Rafa Sandoval. This is part 2 of House of Brainiac, at least part 2 of like the main event. There was also the Green Lantern tie-in last issue, which I didn't read. But this is essentially Clark shows up, and then he shows up at the bar that Lobo is at. They have a bit of a fight, and then Clark is able to convince Lobo to help him try and rescue his family and get go take down Brainiac. Brainiac appears to want the super family's powers because he seems like he's dying, and he's also cloned himself a bunch. And it turns out that like also the Zarnians are not clones like we thought they might be last issue.
Yes.
They did just get found by Brainiac, and then Brainiac shrunk their city down and like kidnapped them all, which I do kind of vaguely remember happening now that I got that refreshed. And so yeah, they go and they I don't think they really fight the Space Zarnians in this, but they do go and meet them.
Yeah, they start the scuffle, but nothing.
Which I think makes a lot of sense. I mentioned last week how I was like, man, this event is living up to its name, being an action comic. So there's a big action sequence in there, and so it looks like this is going to be structured with like the action comic side of it is going to be the big fight stuff, and then the Superman side of it is going to be kind of the more character focused stuff. Because there's a lot of like character moments between Clark and Lobo in this.
Yes.
And that was by far my favorite part of the issue. I loved that. They have like a full fucking therapy session in space while they're riding space motorcycles. It's great. Like it's really I love that stuff. By the way, they need the space motorcycles to get past the Green Lantern quarantine of Sector 2814. So like that stuff was great. Like their kind of dynamic I think was really interesting. And it seems like Lobo has maybe softened up a little bit. Like he has a family now apparently, which I didn't know about that.
Know that either. Yeah.
Yeah. But so that stuff I think was really really great. And then it ends with Lex being like, hey, let Lena go and I will get Superman for you, essentially. So I don't really know what his motives are. I don't know if he's actually going to betray Clark or not. I think it would kind of, I don't know. I don't think I really want him to, because I think that would kind of then undevelop that character who has been, being pretty fairly developed for the last year or so. So I hope that he has some kind of, alternate plan. Lex is very smart, so I'm sure he does. But yeah, outside of that, I don't know how much I have to say about it. But I really like the character moments in this, and I think this was pretty significantly better than the last issue because of that. Even though the action was, a lot less prevalent. But so I thought this was great. And honestly, it could be my pick of the week. I don't think it is, but I liked it a lot. I think it was very good.
I enjoyed it. I will say this: I was right about in my review for Green Lantern. I had mentioned that I didn't think Guy Gardner actually got Lobo.
True. Yeah.
And I was right.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, look at me go. And yeah, I was right that Lobo had no idea that there were more Zarnians out there. And so yeah, that was partially why he agreed to help Superman. Was mostly to see these other Zarnians. But yeah, I had no idea he had a family. And yeah, that whole therapy session that he had with Superman over like anger, because he could tell that like Superman was like royally pissed off, and like Superman mentioned to him like, I've been mad like before, like you've seen me mad before, and Lobo was like, no, I've seen you mad, but not like this mad. Like I can tell from your eyes that you're just like incredibly like pissed. I agree with you that I hope Lex doesn't like actually betray Superman, and it's just like part of this like plan that he has, because like you said, it would completely destroy like that whole like character building thing that like they've literally been doing this entire series. Yeah. And then that's pretty much it.
Did you fully catch up on this, or did you just read this issue?
Oh no, I fully read all of Superman. I will say this. That's true. I've read from issue. I want to say issue 6.
That's 6 sounds right. Yeah.
6. Yeah, I read from 6 all the way up to now 11, 13.
Yep.
And I will say I'm enjoying Green Lantern more.
I maybe agree. It goes back and forth. I think Superman has higher highs, but Green Lantern is more consistent. Because like that whole Western part with Superman, I fucking loved that. Like that whole arc was great.
Yeah, you loved that one. I read it. And I was like,
loved
man,
that.
I didn't like. I was excited for this one, and then I just like, I thought it was alright. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chain bit was kind of, for me, it was kind of anticlimactic because I feel like they built him up.
Yeah.
Built him up this like super huge, and he was just
Yeah.
like, I feel like just defeated super easily. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just also like Graph too. Like I just feel like all of these super villains that they're like building up are just like defeated like super easily. I don't.
Yeah. Brainiac seems to
know.
be the exception. I think that'll go a little bit differently.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, because like like right now like, it's just like some like almost some of the smaller ones like Parasite stuff like that you can't really count because like
right.
But I'm like Graph like has been like a problem this entire series up until like I think it was like 2 issues ago.
Not even. It was literally last issue.
Was it last issue? Well,
yeah.
11 was the one that he got red kryptonited.
I guess, but they were still like dealing with that whole problem in issue number 12.
Yeah, it was Lena, Lex's mother. Lena's his daughter.
I think it's like Letitia is his mom.
Yeah, you're right. So I guess it was his last issue. Yeah. They were dealing with that one. So yeah, even that, I was just like, he literally just slammed him into the ground, and that was it. It was very anticlimactic for me. I don't know. Yeah. But overall, I thought this one was pretty good. So yeah, I gave this one. Let me think. I'd give this an 8.
I have this at a 9. And now there's only one issue left in the episode, and that is Helen of Wyndhorn #2, written by Tom King, and the artist is Bilquis Evely. So you read both of them, right? I'm assuming.
I read the first one.
Okay. What did you think of the first one?
This one was tough. I really didn't know what to think at first. At first I thought it was like a Western.
Yeah, I think I kind of did too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because just simply the way it was, like the way they were dressed, and then the like kind of like the way
Lilith?
Helen.
Helen.
Jesus Christ.
The main character. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason I wanted to call her like Helena or something. I don't know why
That's closer than you usually get, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, it is. But I was like, I know her name. Like it's literally like
it's on the cover. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like freezing for some reason. But like at first I thought it was a Western, and then they were also traveling by train.
Looking place as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was like a Western, and I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't think they have like any technology though. Either.
It's not Western though. Okay, I'm pretty confident after the second issue. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. After the second issue, maybe not. But yeah. And then it's just I'm not gonna go too deep because you already reviewed the first one. But it's just kind of it then skips to like the whole tour thing, and then her basically just every single day getting drunk, going to sleep, getting put to bed, and then going to the other person's bed at night.
Lilith. Yeah.
Lilith. And it's just that constantly over and over again while being narrated. And then at the end, we see the monster that she was talking about, which is like a giant bat vampire thing.
Yeah.
And then it was slain by, is it Helen's grandfather?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Helen's grandfather. So she has no idea that she's like rich then, is it?
I mean, she knows now. Like once she gets to the house, she definitely figures that out, I think.
Okay. Well, yes. That. So then does Lilith works for Helen then, right? She's like a maid?
She works technically for her grandfather, and she's like a tutor / like guardian / mentor for Helen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because when I first started reading this, I was like, okay, so I thought Lilith was the rich one.
No, yeah, Lilith is just kind of, I mean, I'm sure she's fairly well off because she's, working for very rich people. Not that necessarily always means they pay you well, but but no, she works for the estate. At least for now, yeah. Yeah,
I think overall I enjoyed it a lot more towards the end. Like it definitely caught my eye, that ending.
Yeah.
Would I continue reading this? Probably not. But that does not mean I didn't enjoy the first issue.
Yeah.
I'd give it an 8. Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking about issue number 2. This is my pick of the week. I'm gonna decide on that. I love the series. I think it's great. It's only gonna be 6 issues, unfortunately. I'm really bummed about that. But at the same time, if it's means it's just a great beginning, middle, and end story, then Cool. Great. So this issue is a little bit more low-key than the first one because Loki's in it. Loki shows up and is like, hello, I'm Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I'm played by Tom Hiddleston, and I'm
Okay.
going to show you a magical world of adventure and time travel, big trees. And that's yeah. When are you going to stop me on this bit, Sebastian?
And this is your review at this point. I don't know.
I just you didn't read it, so for all you know, I could be telling the truth.
Exactly.
Regardless. Yeah, so it's a lot of like kind of the aftermath of that fight with the bat, where it's just kind of showing how Helen and Lilith are kind of reacting to that. Also, now you get the grandfather's actually put into the dynamic as well, and seeing how they all kind of how that whole dynamic changes once he's there. And so it's a lot of like Helen getting some lessons. And then at a certain point, like they do find another like kind of magical creature. It's like this little like fox thing. They give it a name. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, it's this little cute fox thing. And the grandfather's essentially like, we're going to have to return this to like this, like, you know, the Steel Mountain, I think is what it's called, which is like the fantasy world that they kind of are by. And so then they just kind of go about their day some more. Helen at some point breaks into like the grandfather's sword room and starts fucking with all the swords, and that makes the butler very unhappy. And then after that, Lilith and the grandfather, they have kind of a confrontation, which ultimately changes the grandfather's mind, and then he agrees to take Helen to Steel Mountain. And so that's where the issue ends. They set off for that for the next issue. I think this is great. Again, it's less kind of, there's less of the big like holy shit like what's going on moment as there was when that bat showed up in the first one. But
yeah,
I think just the way the character dynamics are written, it's just like it's so good. And it's like it's crazy because I have talked quite a bit about how I think Tom King is very hit or miss. You know, even we just talked about Wonder Woman. You know, I think like a lot of that series is not great. A lot of it is good, but a lot of it's not great. But for whatever reason, it's just like he's just on his fucking A game with this series. And the art is just so good. I mean, it's like every page is like this like fucking painting. It's incredible. And, you know, so I don't know why. I think it's just the vibe. This passes the vibe check, I think. It's just cool vibes, and I like it. We don't see much more of the fantasy stuff in this issue, but I'm okay with that. I think the reactions are cool and good and authentic. We may not even see the fantasy stuff next issue, because it's set like the synopsis says, Helen returns to the grounds of Wyndhorn House from what appears to have been a fantastical warrior paradise. Was what she experienced real or from the mind of her late father who penned stories of a barbaric adventure in a bizarre land? So it sounds like next issue will start with her coming back. And I kind of love the idea of not seeing the adventure and just seeing how this kind of plays out and seeing their reactions from Lilith's point of view, who she doesn't know like what the fuck's going on. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out as well. But yeah, I loved this. I think it's great. Again, like there's some other comics this week that were close to this level of quality that could have been pick of the week. I think Superman could have gotten it. Obviously, I gave Immortal Thor a higher rating. But yeah, I think this was fantastic. I loved it, and I gave it a 9.
All right.
And so that brings us to the end of this episode. Next week is fucking a monster one. There's a lot next week. There's a new issue of the Avengers, which I'm not currently reading anymore. I'll get there eventually, but I'm not there yet. The final issue of Blade is next week. I'm kind of checked out on the series a little bit, but I will read that. The 60th anniversary special oversized issue of Daredevil is next week. Cool Dawn Runner is next week. I really like the first issue. We didn't talk about Dawn Runner last month because that was also the week we missed, but I loved the first issue, and I think this could be very cool to see where this goes. We mentioned this earlier, but the finale of Duke is next week. The Flash is next week. Apparently, this is a very confusing issue. Second to last issue of Gods is next week. Green Arrow, Rare Flavors, 2 good series I've been enjoying. The Six Fingers. Very, very, very much looking forward to the Six Fingers next week. I think that'll be very interesting. Ultimate Spider-Man number 4. Yep, great. Love it. Good series. Spectrograph number 1 is a new series from Distillery Comics written by James Tynion IV, and the artist is Christian Ward. I actually didn't know about this before Sebastian told me about it. There's also the start of the next Universal Monsters series. It's Universal Monsters Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. This is written, fun fact, it's written by 2 people, Dan Waters and Ram V. And they are the writers who's doing the One Hand Six Fingers series. It's Ram V on one hand and Dan Waters on Six Fingers, so they're working together on this, which is cool. And then World Tree number 9 is also next week. which I'm very much looking forward to after the gap. So I think that's everything, right, Sebastian? I don't think I'm missing anything major. Don't think I'm missing the return of a big series or anything that you love.
That I love?
Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything. I don't think I'm missing a series that has been gone for several months or anything like that.
I mean, might be missing Fury Spider-Man or something.
You know, I'm probably missing Power Girl. That's probably what I'm missing.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to read it.
It must be Power Girl that I'm missing, and not a horror series that Sebastian loves that has been gone for several months.
World Tree, yeah.
I did mention World Tree.
Okay, you did mention World Tree.
I did mention World Tree.
Gotcha.
I could be thinking of Jackpot and Black Cat #2.
That's not horror, though.
I mean, neither of us have read it. It could be.
That is true. Hey, maybe.
I can't tell if you're playing into my bit or if you genuinely don't know what I missed.
I mean, no, I think you're talking about the return of Chasm, right? In the the Amazing Spider-Man #48.
Right. The return of Chasm after that Spider-Man event. Actually, you have read that now. I forgot about that.
I've started it.
You've started it. Yeah, I mean, that's a big return, obviously. I mean, that must be setting up the Chasm, the Return of Kane story that is supposedly going to be this summer. By the way, I don't know if you saw this, but Marvel announced that in July, Spider-Man Reign 2 is going to be going on. Spider-Man Reign, for anybody who does not know, this is I don't even know if you know, Sebastian. I'm sure you've heard of this moment, but Spider-Man Reign is the series that is most famously known for being the one where Peter Parker accidentally kills MJ because his sperm is radioactive, and when they try to have a kid, she dies from radiation poisoning from Peter's sperm. So I don't know why they're making a sequel to that, but they are. So that's information for everybody. How do you feel about that, Sebastian? Are you excited for Spider-Man Reign 2?
I tried reading that series a while back, and I could not do it.
Yeah, nobody likes that series. I don't know why they're doing this. Okay. But all jokes aside, what I am mentioning, what I have been referring to is Something Just Killing the Children was back this week.
Oh, that horror story. Yeah.
After like a 5-month hiatus, the last issue was in November. Although technically there was Book of Butcher as well, but that was kind of a different promotional kind of thing. But yeah, Something Just Killing the Children is going to be back. This is a flashback arc, so like the Erica origin arc, but I guess it's going to be like each issue is going to be her taking on a different monster, it seems like, which I'm all about, actually. I want to see more like just cool, unique monster hunting stuff in this series. So I am looking forward to that, despite not loving the last arc. Well, anyway, yeah, that'll wrap it up for this episode. As always, thank you everybody for listening. If you are on YouTube, you can like the video over there. Of course, you can also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of our videos. We are approaching episode 50. So there's quite a backlog by this point. You can also hit the bell notification to be notified when we post new videos on YouTube. And you can leave us a comment. Let us know what some of your favorite comics have been recently from the past couple weeks or months or years. Or from fucking 1967. If you're on Spotify, you can email us over there if you want to let us know what you think about comics. You can do so at earthsmightiestcomicspod@gmail.com. That is all one word. And you can also follow the show over there to make sure you don't miss any episodes on Spotify as well. So yes, again, thank you everybody for listening as always, and we will see you in the next episode.